recite you a poem that was given to me in 1970 by a friend that was struggling with heroin addiction. It was written by an inmate that was incarcerated but chose to remain anonymous. It's called Meet Mrs. H, abbreviated for heroin. So now, little man, you've grown tired of grass, LSD goofballs, cocaine and hash, and someone pretending to be a true friend said, I'll introduce you to Mrs. Heroin. Well, before you start fooling with me, just let me inform you of how it will be. For I will seduce you and make you my slave. I've sent men much stronger than you to their graves. You think you can never become a disgrace and end up addicted to poppy seed waste? But you'll start inhaling me one afternoon. You'll take me in your arm very soon. And once I have entered deep down in your veins, the cravings will nearly drive you insane. You'll swindle your mother, and just for a buck, you'll turn into something vile and corrupt. You'll mug and you'll steal from my narcotic charm, and you'll feel contentment when I'm in your arms. You'll desperately run to the pusher, and then you'll welcome me back to your arm once again. And once you have did this, just as I foretold, I know that you'll give me your body and soul. You'll give up your morals, your conscience, your heart, and you will be mine till death do us part. This morning I will inform you on drug abuse, the drugs common use today, the people affected by them, and what is being done to treat substance abuse. Although heroin was a very popular drug in the 70s, it is still being used today. Drug Library.org reports that the Vietnam War was a major contributor to the high rise in heroin addiction in the 60s and 70s. And this is a consumption, and this is the early 60s, early 70s, late 60s, and it just skyrocketed behind the war. Other drugs used during that era were LSD, goofballs, reds, yellow jackets were very popular, cocaine, hash, and marijuana. TeenPath.org states that today's most popular drugs are meth, prescription drugs, heroin, and marijuana. Alcohol and Drug Abuse Weekly reports that law officials encourage parents and school officials to be aware of a strawberry-flavored version of meth. It is colored pink and sweetened during process, and to attract younger users. And in the streets, this is called Strawberry Quip, and kids as young as 11 years old have been using this. What are the effects of the brain during drug use? A study done by Donald Huckenberry on neuroscience called The Addicted Brain states that all drugs initially affect the brain in the same way. By increasing the dopamine levels in the brain's reward system, but as the brain adjusts to the effects of the drug's abuse, long-term changes occur in the brain circuitry. And as you see in these brain scans, the red and orange show the greatest number of dopamine receptors, and as you compare the scans, you'll see that regardless of the drugs used, whether heroin, cocaine, or meth, the number of dopamine receptors in the brain increases. And in the case of meth, 10% of tissue is lost in the brain's emotion and reward, and a significant loss in memory and learning. The outward appearance of a person also changes. The two pictures on the top show a heroin addict. The two on the bottom are meth users, and the changes occur depending on the amount used and the length of time. The body is also affected. The arm on the right is a heroin addict's arm. It's caused by the syringes used to inject heroin in his body. It's calluses, and there's also abscesses there from missing when you don't inject the drug into its proper place. And the one on the left is the meth user, and meth users usually pick their skin and leave open sores. The Journal of Psychiatry states that female meth users report more depressive symptoms than do males. A study done in San Diego says that 60% of women experience moderate to severe depression, Women with severe depression were more likely to use meth to cope with mood and use more grams. A study also shows that in 1992, 30% of the people incarcerated had drug-related offenses. An official states that this is where we should be at with the 30% treatment, 34 youth incarcerations, and 33 law enforcement. But in fact, we have only 22% treatment available, and the rest of the people are incarcerated or in juvenile home. What is being done to treat substance abuse? The American Journal of Alcohol and Drug reports that over the last decade, there has been a dramatic rise in the number of women arrested for drug-related offenses. These women have been mandated by the courts to drug treatment programs. Studies show that women who abstained from drugs during the first week after treatment were more likely to remain in treatment longer, receive a plan for transition out of treatment, and obtain encouragement from outside support groups. DrugLibrary.org reports that in 1971, President Nixon asked Congress for $105 million to be used in the rehab treatment of the Vietnam soldiers, one of which was methadone maintenance. It's a long-term drug program that is still being used today. The clients in these methadone programs go into the clinic and are given between 20 to 50 milligrams of methadone to keep them from going through withdrawals. They are tested on randomly, and if they have any illegal substances in their bodies, they will be detoxed and eventually go back to using drugs. Other alternatives are Betty Ford, which is here. This center offers a child residential area and adults, and I've got this picture of these rocks because children do feel so much guilt and confusion and anger. And I suppose that by writing this down, it helps them with the healing process. There's also the ABC Recovery Center that is located in Indio. And their payment assistance programs based on need. There's 30-day or long-term, and they offer prenatal care for pregnant mothers on drugs. They also have AA, NA, and Al-Anon meetings that are offered to the public on a daily basis. In conclusion, today I informed you on drug abuse, the common drugs used today, the people affected by them, and what is being done to treat substance abuse. The life of an addict is a living nightmare. And like in the poem, you literally do lose your morals, your conscience, and your heart. And in my friend's case, his life. He's currently, he's been incarcerated 22 years and is doing a life sentence behind a drug-related offense. Thank you.